Hello, number 13. Alright. So, this is a lucky number. And I get to show off some of the cool stuff that I mentioned in the last one. Obviously been making a ton of progress over the last week in particular. So I'll go over how, I guess how the camera rotation works, because it looks quite nice now. And some changes that I've been making to the minimap shader, to make it a lot more viable on the inside of the torus. So let's just get into this. Hopefully this will be quick. Never is. So let's have a look at the camera first. So camera controls are it's like pretty simple for a 3D game if you're actually doing any like sort of click and drag controls, right? Like you move the mouse forwards and back, you're effectively just changing the phi, I guess, angle, like going up and down. And you move the mouse left and right, and you're changing like the theta angle just around some sort of preferred axis, right? And even though I'm a torus and my character's like technically on the side of the torus right now, it's still pretty much the same as anything else, right? And we can have a look at the code for that. The thing you really need to look out for when you're actually implementing camera controls. Thank you, computer, for that noise. Okay, yeah, the thing you need to look out for when you're implementing camera controls is zooming in and out. So we'll go over that in a moment. But all of the camera control stuff is right here. So we just have like a bunch of different variables, effectively, for like kind of controlling different speeds of things. And these you just kind of need to set up. You just play with it until you find like good values, right? And these are values that players would usually tweak in the settings menu. I'll have to add some sliders for these. I'll get to that later, right? So you can see when I click and drag here, you can see, so vertically, I'm changing player rotation around tangent. So the tangent is like the line kind of coming out of my character to the right of wherever the screen is facing. So screen direction, up direction, right? The tangent is coming out like there. So you can just use the cross product to find that. And we're just rotating like kind of around that. Right. And then yeah, there's this rotation around normal. And so that's this vertical one. So pretty simple. What goes on here is we just get the input, so rotate delta. So this is the actual like click and drag input, and I just read the where the mouse is every frame and where the mouse used to be, and I just like take that difference, right? And I just use that to like rotate around. So the X value around the normal, the Y value around the tangent. And then you just like clamp it between some preferred values, right? So there's like a min and a max here, and that's just effectively so that, you know, you can't like move the camera past there, and you can't move the camera past there, right? Really, really simple. So the actual hardest part about this is scrolling in and out. A lot of different mices and devices have unique ways of handling zooming or scrolling, right? Particularly the Mac Magic Mouse, or their Magic Scroll, or whatever the hell it is, which sends like way more scroll inputs, right? It sends a scroll input per frame, right? And the value of it, I've never been able to figure it out, not for the life of me. Right. So, yeah, player zoom. Yes, the Magic Mouse and like a lot of things, they have really weird properties that are very, very confusing and frustrating. So the best way to actually deal with zooming is to effectively give the control like a velocity, right? Listen to the inputs from whatever mouse is actually like plugged in, give that thing a min like step and a maximum step. So so every single scroll input, right, effectively just changes the amount of velocity we give to the camera, right? And so even if I scroll it like really fast, right, it goes a little faster, but it's like still maintainable, right? And again, this is something that can be put into the settings menu. That should make things nice and work well. Even if they have a mouse that's somehow sending, you know, like 150, 400 scroll inputs per second, right? Yeah. So this isn't something a lot of people have dealt with, I don't think. I'd be very surprised if anyone has dealt with it nearly as much as I have. But that's a story for another time. Yeah. So yeah, that's and that's camera controls. So working really good. Now for the really fun stuff. This. So the minimap changes. You can see here, it might be a little hard, so let me just make it full screen. I've added some cool new effects to the minimap to kind of make it a bit easier to see when you're inside of the torus. The changes that I've made, I think I'm happy enough with them that the inside of the torus feels comfortable, right? And I was really worried about this because, I mean, last week I was saying like, maybe I shouldn't even use the inside of the torus, whatever. So you can see here, we now have the void has like this nice little outline around it, and it's like a pretty dark tint, like pretty transparent. So that works really well. And we also have this dithering for back-facing terrain. So before, you couldn't see the color of the terrain that was on the back of the surface. But now you can, and it acts like it's not perfect, but it's much better than it was before. So I'm very, very happy with this. And also with the camera changes, you can actually like, you know, see kind of what's going on in the background, right? So I'll go into the actual game and go inside of the torus and show you how it looks when the terrain is colored, because that's particularly nice. Yeah. And then, yeah, I'll go over exactly how this whole thing works. So, we're gonna pull through. Hopefully the camera doesn't fuck me. Thank you. Alright, yeah. So, you can see here, it's a bit busy still. Might still be too busy, actually. We'll work on that a little bit more. And we're going to go over this way to get to the next zone, which is going to be over here. Yeah, here it is. Oh, get away from me. Okay, we'll also go over what all these weird lucks that are popping around my character. That's a new thing. Oh god, I need to beat these enemies. Go away! Okay, cool. That should keep me safe. So, yeah. Inside the torus, I mean, I guess all the terrain went away, but it looks much nicer here, because you couldn't, like, when you were looking on the backside, you couldn't actually see where the safe zones were. So that was a big problem. Yeah. And the way that I'm doing this is, right now I actually have, there's 4 different things rendering the actual terrain, right? So we have the ground itself, so this is not what the camera sees. This one. And we have this, which is the front-facing terrain, right? Then we have this is the void overlay, and then this one is the back-facing terrain. So toggle that on, yeah. And I'm trying to. And the way that I did the dithering, because I think that's the only really important thing, because a lot of this stuff was just kind of part of the shaders, right? The voided terrain, the way that I'm doing this is I just make the terrain render black, right? And that's it. And so that's what gives it this effect. And then I just made the outline just thicker. yeah, I just made the outline thicker. But for this dithered stuff, this was just a tiny little change that I had to add at the end. So we can go to the shader graph, and there's just inside of the shader graph, there's just dither functionality. So we just take the screen position, we kind of choose the dither like density, right? We dither it, we do a comparison against, so this function returns like a value between 0 and 1 at each of those based off of the value of the position that you pass in. So you know, right at the top left, like imagine you've got like pixels, right? And like this is like 0.1, this is like 0.7, this is 0.2, something like that, right? In fact, I can just look at the documentation and it'll tell me exactly the values. Yeah, here you go. You got, yeah, 1 on 17, 9 on 17, 3 on 17, 11 on 17. And this is a, I think, pretty standard dithering format. And when you actually want to use the values that you get out of that, the best thing to do is just do a comparison. So choose a threshold and then just do a greater than against those values. And I just multiply those against the final colors, and that effectively turns the dithered pixels, like the dithered sections, on and off. Nice and simple. Yeah. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, I need to keep working on it a bit more for when the... Yeah, because these things do need to be slightly less visible, so maybe a bit more transparent. But that's not too hard at all, right? I can just we've got this backface blend value, so I can just like make it more transparent like that, right? And then you can still see that there's terrain there, but maybe it doesn't really impact you as much. And I think that'll probably look good. Yeah. Yeah. So this is nice. I'm now comfortable being on the inside of the torus. What's next? Oh, right. The lucky. So we'll go over that because I did show the loot drops in the previous in the last video. I wanted, so this game is multiplayer, right? And I want it to be like, you know, pretty cooperative as well. So my plan for this, and I'll just place projectile ring. This will kill them. Place down this event, and I just need to wait for these guys to get killed. There we go. So the idea is that I want this game to be cooperative. So when you beat a boss, I want all the players to be looking at the same items, right? So all the players are going to see these. And each player would pick one, right? If you've got multiple players... Oh, whoopsies. Oh, fuck. This is a mess. Oh, this is tragic. Okay. Hold up, I gotta get out of here. Stop bothering me. Okay, we're gonna go over here. So, okay. Sorry. I'm so distracted today. I'm gonna cut all this out, I guess. Now that I can edit videos. Stop telling me I'm lucky. I get it. I know that I'm lucky. Alright. So, when you beat a boss or an event, the loot drop that you see, I want all the items to be popping out, and I want every player to be picking one of them or greeting and trying to steal like an item from somebody else, right? So like multiple people can pick the same item, but then it's just going to kind of like randomly choose who gets that item, and then the other players will just get given random items as well, right? So you could think of this as like a Nido greed system from, you know, a oh, not Nido greed system. This is like greed. This is a greed system from like an MMO where, you know, loot drops and everyone's like picking things, and if you're the only person to pick something, you get it guaranteed, but if multiple people pick it, it'll get split randomly. But I wanted the stats of the players to also kind of like impact the loot drops. So my idea was to have these like greed procs, right? Still a work in progress, but when the loot gets generated, it's going to go over each player and it's going to say like, how much of an impact do you have on this item? And if they, succeed on like a luck up roll, then it's going to increase the quality of that item, right? And this can happen like multiple times per player. Yeah, so every single drop could potentially have like a bunch of different luck applied to it, right? And I thought that was, and it's just started looking really nice. So if I spawn this in, you're gonna see this luck text appear on my character right before it generates all the items. Oh, that's the wrong thing. This event. Place event. There we go. Okay, here it is. So you're gonna see it in a second. I'm gonna beat the last of these enemies. Luck. That one comes out. Luck. That kind of item comes out. Luck, luck, luck. And then you can see it's an orange item because it's so good. Wow. Oh my gosh, it's so much better than the other items, even though they're exactly the same right now. But that's it. That's the cool gimmick. And then you go up to one of these items, you pick it up, the other items fade away, because that was the item you chose. And that's the luck system. There's not really too much to it right now. I think if we actually have a look at the code for the, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's like the Lucius, player choose loot reward RPC, maybe loot drop interactable. I had to change my whole, so I have like an interaction system in the game now, as well as like a collectible system. That's what I was doing there. Like when I walk up to an item, those things are just interactables, and then they, when you interact with them, it just like kind of says like, I've been interacted with, and then the item can like process it on its own. That sounds simple, but when you're working with ECS, pretty much everything is hard. Yeah, so player interact with RPC, you can see this, interactable, so with present, interactable, interacted by, and then, so reward interacted with, so dynamic buffer interacted with, selection, and then, so this is like where the player, when the player interacts with something, if it is a reward item, then we store the selection of the item inside of a buffer, right? Like, or inside of ourselves. And then the actual, like, that, like, zone, the need or greed authoring zone, need or greed reward zone, this thing, like, reads that all of the players have, like, processed the items. Have selected their choices. So we'll go through this from the start. So this zone gets placed down, it inits itself, it gives itself a random seed, like a random value, that it's going to use for the rest of the run, or for the rest of its lifespan, so this one particular zone. It begins reward generation, it goes to the test player state, so if all of the players have been tested, so all of the players in the game, then it'll start tossing the items out. But until then, it goes to each player. It looks at the player's stats. It determines the reward bonus using the zone's random seed. If there's a boost, then it'll create a reward particle effect. So that's what the big luck text that appears is. And then it also has to wait for the actual boost animation before testing the next player. And it goes back up, it tests more players, it goes back up, it tests more players, and then once everyone's tested for that one particular item, it'll toss it out. So toss, we go over the actual type of reward, so it doesn't necessarily need to be an attack or a ring, as I call them. It could be anything, so right now it's just rings. But the idea is that some of the rewards might just be like passive items or stat boosts or something. Yeah, so it does that. It determines like where to throw. It tosses them in a direction based off of like the index of the item that's getting tossed, roughly. I think I did this math terribly, but that's okay. It generates the actual ring stats based on and using the reward boost value to increase the quality of it. So this is the value that was generated by all of those players. So this could be like, you know, you got like 4 players in the lobby. Everyone like procs it like 2 times each, so it's like +8 rarity. I think that's very fun. I like games with good luck stats. Yeah, so it generates all that stuff. The ring itself that's on the ground, it says, hey, I'm a reward item. And my parent is this need zone, this zone that I'm in, and this is my index in the parent. And so this is how players can actually like choose a particular one. So that's what the player interacted with. We set up that movement to actually like make them toss. We stop them from being grounded to actually make them go into the air, and then we make this particular ring object actually collectible. Then we go to end reward generation, so there's like a post toss delay. So we wait a second, we just like iterate up the rewards distributed, and then if we still have rewards to redistribute, we go all the way back to begin reward generation. And so then, you know, we go over all the players again, we toss the item, and then we try this one more time, and we just keep doing that until we've done all the items, and then we wait for selection. And so this thing just goes over all the players. It sees if any of them have actually made a selection that where the item they selected, its parent is this needle greed zone that we're in. And then once we're done with that, we go to the actual countdown after initial selection. And so this is like, this makes sure that like, even if you've got up an AFK player, eventually it'll get like, something will get selected, right? And when it's done that, what we're doing here is we're like, the zone itself is remembering the player's current selections. And then once it goes to the next thing, then it kind of like, it has those selections locked in. So even if a player changes their choice between these 2 states, the zone itself is going to say like, no, you're getting this item. And then finally, well, no, not finally, we have to resolve conflicts. So if any player picked 2 things, or if a player didn't pick anything at all, then we need to figure that out. So we go, first what we do is we go over all of the players who, so we go over all of the items, the rewards distributed. We see how many players picked that particular reward index, and we count it up. If it's greater than 1, then there's a conflict, and we're just going to say like, okay, everyone who picked this, your selection is invalid. You're going to get a random item now. Hold up. Yes. yeah, you're gonna get a random item now, unless you are the person that deserves it. So we choose a random person between the people to split between, and we say like, hey, that person, you're actually allowed to have this item. Everyone else's selections become invalid. And then we go through a bunch of garbage to actually say like who gets what items. So this is a big mess, pain in the butt to write. And then finally we actually give the items out to different players, and we do that by just saying, hey, set those loot items as collected. So say like, hey, that item, start actually like, just do the weird animation where you fly over to the player and get like absorbed into it, and then that weird code runs. Like, just make that run. Yeah. And then finally we wait a second to let those rewards get distributed, and finally we destroy the actual the zone itself. And that's it. That's how our rewards are getting distributed. That actually took quite a while because of all those little random systems that I had to implement. But I'm pretty happy with it now. I have no idea what's going on down there. There's like a mystery object down here. Huh. Interesting. So this is so that worked pretty well, and I'm quite happy with it. I'm very excited to actually start working on some gameplay now. I can pick up a bunch of these things, pick up that one, and pick up this one, and this one, I guess. And, dear God, I'm just covered in stuff. That's good. That's really good. And these things are just jiving, and it's very hard to look at games when they're in this state. It's it's working. It's working out. Yeah. So, next thing that I'm going to do. So today I'm actually working on screen space fog for the minimap. So the camera still has some problems. It's very hard to see. So the minimap still has some problems. It has like, it needs depth. It's very hard to see sometimes that this stuff is in the background, and I want to kind of make this stuff darken as it goes back. And I also want to make, and you can see my attempt right now. That's what why these stars are all black. You can see my attempts to make the fog work. Problems that I've run into though is that the depth buffer inside of this phase, so the depth buffer doesn't seem to copy the screen space effects. Don't affect the transparent objects. So even though transparent objects are writing to the depth buffer, I can't seem to get my full screen effect to actually use that depth buffer. It seems to only use the one generated during opaques, which is really frustrating. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to actually create a second. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about if we look at the frame debugger. So we'll pause the frame. We'll go to this is the minimap view, and we can go through here. So you can see, so we draw opaque objects, right? So this is the actual map itself. I can't zoom in on this, which sucks. So yeah, this is the map itself getting drawn. And we can see that in the okay, well, that's a way to make it zoomed. Yeah, so we can see that you draw the depth, and then this regular Unity copy depth function runs, and so this is copying the depth that it's seeing, which, you know, that makes sense. But all of the transparent objects in the world, right? These things, they also affect the depth. So if we have a look at the depth here, right? Yeah, you can see it. You can see it here. So, okay, yeah. So it's this. So depth here. You can see that there's no star there, right? But then if I go to this depth, you can see that there is a star there. Yeah, it's very hard for me to see on this screen. But when I actually do like any full screen effect, which isn't rendering right now, there's no fog right now, it just doesn't seem to like use that depth, which is really, really, really frustrating. I have no idea why. It's just ignoring it. And I have no idea how to copy the depth to the thing that I want, right? I can see render target, camera depth attachment, and I need to obviously put this same camera depth attachment onto my full screen shader, right? Yeah, I just gotta figure it out. The Unity, like, the URP scriptable render pipeline is really, really confusing. There's not any documentation for it. A lot of developers will tell you, like, hey, use ChatGPT or something when you're super stuck. And I've been stuck on this for days. So, you know, give it a go. It doesn't help you at all. It's completely useless with this stuff because it's so brand new and undocumented, right? There's no way for me to Google information, even if I look at the source code for URP, which I have access to and I've looked through as well. It's not very useful either. It's just just a little bit of perpetual suffering. Meh. I shouldn't be ending this on such a sad note, but I mean, maybe it's gonna be a good note, and I'll have lovely fog, or depth, darkness, and stuff in the next one. Yeah, definitely gonna happen. Definitely gonna be good. All right, that's enough. Goodbye.